Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the middle-aged guys, and we bullshit. Well, actually, it's obvious we bullshit about a lot of things. All right, motherfuckers don't leave comments anyways, but we know it. All right, I'm the Reverend.
The Thief here. Gray Mouse 1.
In this particular video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump back and we're touching on a little bit of a nostalgic nerve. Now, over the last few months, a lot of people have been raving over the NES Classic Mini. In fact, just yesterday, it came out and it sold out everywhere. It was gone like a fart in the wind. Okay. And the thing is that ever since that decided to go ahead and Nintendo went ahead and they announced that, people were like, well, Sega's been doing this thing for forever. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of the clone systems that are out there, okay, that people have been raving about, saying, oh, the retro game wars, the retro console wars are back or shit like that. They aren't really stuff that's done with Sega's blessing or with actual Sega hardware. That was until earlier this particular week. All right. In Brazil, where the Sega Genesis and the Sega consoles are okay, what happened in Brazil was that Nintendo didn't make it down there in Brazil very quickly. In fact, they didn't make it down in South America. They didn't make it to the UK as quickly as they did in the States and also in Japan. As a result, in places like London or England or the United Kingdom and stuff like that, they rave about their Amstrad systems and other things that we don't even know about, okay? In Brazil, they raved about the Master System, okay? Sega was there like years before Nintendo even fucking appeared, all right? In fact, I don't even know if the NES itself actually showed up in Brazil. The Super Nintendo made it down there. But by that time, pretty much Sega, after the Master System and the Genesis, it pretty much owned 90% of the market share in Brazil, which is also the reason why they still make fucking Sega Genesis and Dreamcast games in fucking South America.
Yep.
All right? So when all of this talk about like retro systems coming back on the shelf, people being able to play stuff and everything else, you know, there have been a lot of clone systems out there, and a lot of them have been really, really, really shitty. Until last week when Tectoy, a manufacturing company in Brazil, all right, released out and announced that they have officially licensed the Sega Genesis hardware and that they were going to be re-releasing the Mega Drive in the first generation edition out in Brazil. So basically you have a Sega Genesis Model 1 coming out to the Brazilian market. They are going to be releasing out for, I believe, 399 Brazilian real, which translates roughly to around 125 US dollars. Okay, it's going to be a fully compatible system with a cartridge slot. It's going to have one 3-button controller. It has RCA AV out, so you can go ahead and connect it up to a TV. Now, people are like, so why not HDMI? Well, guess what? A lot of people over there in Brazil, they don't have HD TVs. So they're not. This isn't for the world market. This is for Brazil. So they've got composite audio video out. And the other thing that is really interesting is that it's going to have an SD card slot where it's also going to include 22 other Sega Genesis games preloaded on an SD card. Now, a lot of people would say, well, you know, then it's just going to be another at Toys or other, you know, third-party fucking, piece of shit that's out there, another clone system. But the thing is, the difference on this one is that it is fully licensed by Tectoy through Sega, and they are going to be using the closest fucking hardware. They're not going to be doing software emulation like they're doing with the other systems that are out there, but they're going to be trying to replicate the actual hardware for Sega Genesis. So if you're looking for a brand new Sega Genesis Model 1, if you're willing to spend $125 plus import fees to try to get it from Brazil over the next few months, you might actually be in luck. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Are they going to remake the Sega CD with that in the 32X?
You know what? I haven't seen whether or not it has expansion slots, but if it has, oh, you know what? I don't know if it has the sync cable slot in the back.
Because okay, make Sega CD games faster and upscale them and just come out with more Sega CD games. And
okay, from what I see on this thing, it doesn't look like it has a sync cable to go ahead and use the 32X, and it doesn't look like it has the expansion port on the side in order to use the Sega CD.
Oh God, you actually took that serious. No, but it is a valid question. Oh, okay.
I would be surprised if they did that. Okay, in fact, if that was the case,
Then,
I would
right,
be really intrigued.
Then let it come out as its own entity this time, not the fucking attached to the fucking Sega Genesis itself. No, okay. Sega does what Nintendo. All right. If you don't already have a Genesis, if you're really willing to fork up that type of cash in order to do so, it has an SD fucking card slot. You know, have more games. All right, fine. As far as I'm concerned with it though, yes, South America, they've been Sega all the way. And hell, as a gamer, I'm totally happy for that. I'm totally happy for them. Bring that shit out again and just keep going forward with games. That's the nostalgia feel. I mean, come on, let's face it. There's certain games back then that we still don't mind playing to this day.
Yep. What about you, Grey Mouse? What are your thoughts on this?
I kind of echo the one the team says, good on them. And the fact that it has an SD card slot, that's amazing to me. Because that just opens up, that people can put ROMs onto their SD card and put it in there. That's just great news. It really is.
But they already have cartridges for that.
Well, that's the cool thing is that it allows you that if you have actual cartridges, you can play actual cartridges and you could use the actual hardware. Mm-hmm. But it's forward thinking enough that, obviously this is pretty much Sega saying, we don't give a fuck about you pirating our 16-bit games.
Hey, no, wait a minute. Come on. That shit was like 26, 27 years ago, roughly.
They can, if they have their games still in circulation, they can still go ahead and go out of their way and follow up, copyright laws for that sort of thing. But really, this is, if they're willing to go ahead and license out a system that has an SD card slot that you drop ROMs in, okay, this is pretty much Sega saying unofficially that they don't give a fuck about you pirating their shit.
Okay, then re-release the fucking Sega Saturn and fucking look. If South America actually does that, if they fucking do the same shit with the Sega Saturn with the 4 megabyte RAM cards and shit like that, and come out with games and yeah, all right, bring that shit. But it's very good that they're doing the Genesis though. I mean, the Genesis. Yes, they had the Master System. Yes, they had their arcade games. Yes, they were involved in the 80s as far as their arcades and stuff like that, and the Master System competing with the NES. But I think, in my opinion, it was the Sega Genesis that actually put them on the map. When I really think about it, it was the 16-bit. It said 16-bit on the fucking Genesis, and Sega, the Genesis does what Nintendo don't. And yeah, we have 16-bit graphics. We were getting arcade games from motherfuckers like Capcom with with Ghouls and Ghosts and with Strider. Sega had Altered Beasts and Golden Axe. They weren't arcade perfect, but they were close enough. They had their own. They brought their mascot with the Genesis. So yeah, they brought Sonic, Streets of Rage, all that shit. Eternal Champions is so underrated as a fucking fighting game, or a first-party fighting game for the fucking Genesis. It's like Genesis has a lot of memories, lots of good games on it, and for era Genesis to still be compatible with cartridges and with some new features, good for that shit.
What about you, Grey Mouse? Anything else to add to that particular one? Now, what I will point out as a caveat to anybody who's going out of the way to import this is that it's going to be kind of tough to go ahead and do so. Well, at least trying to find a reliable supplier out of Brazil to go ahead and get this. But the other thing that they have to worry about is that Brazil is a PAL region.
I was just about to say, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a PAL region.
Yeah, it uses PAL S, so you're gonna have to consider that. Now that wouldn't be so much of an issue if it had an HDMI out, but since it's running composite, that can create issues for anybody who wants to sit there and run that on a current TV right now. If it doesn't support a PAL signal, then you might be shit out of luck.
You're right.
Or you might have to go out of your way to spend like an initial $300 to $400
Or an adapter or TV.
Yeah, on a signal converter to go ahead and play that.
You'd be better off buying a fucking regular Genesis from the States than that.
Yeah. I mean, not that I'm going to stop anybody from doing that. God forbid I tell anybody how to sit there and spend their own money. But that's one caveat that people have to sit there and.
Yeah, so if you're going to try to, you heard this from this channel or from somewhere else, and you're actually going to look into this, please do your research first before you pull the trigger. Because, of course, we would not want any gamer to buy some shit that they can't fucking use, that they intended to use it. That's just a slap in the fucking face.
Yeah.
So please do the research. Maybe we'll research on it and we'll report back. But I would hate for any gamer to suffer that fate.
Yep. Is there any other thoughts on this particular one, gentlemen, that we can go ahead and throw out there for anybody watching?
Genesis does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still won't play certain games for it, but Genesis will always have a place in my heart. I mean, fuck. Yep. That really started the war, especially the fanboyism between Sega fanatics and Nintendo geeks.
Yep. Not that it's going to sit there and reignite that anytime soon, but it's nice to see that somebody's going out of their way to bring the hardware out again.
So this Genesis does what the Nintendo Mini don't.
Pretty much. Yep.
Damn, that Mini should have had a fucking SD card slot or something.
It would have been nice.
Shit.
But,
maybe then I would have stood in line for it.
It would have been nice.
But yeah, that would have been nice. But good for South America for doing this.
Yep. Good on Tectoy. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap this particular short video up, folks. If there's anything we think we missed or any thoughts on Tectoy putting this out to the world again, brand new fucking Sega Genesis hardware. Really. It's 2016. Yeah, 16.
Hey, we just got an NES Mini.
Yeah, I know. But that was.
I mean, come on. It's 2016. 31 years ago, the NES.
That just goes ahead and it proves the point that, the folks who are playing this shit aren't little kids anymore.
And look, and that shit sold out.
Yeah.
So, God, I mean, come on. Adults went and gobbled that shit up.
Yep. And if there's anything that we've left out or any comments you want to make, feel free to go ahead and leave them below. If you're so kind, like I always say, hit that like button, hit subscribe. We are the middle-aged guys, and we have been bullshitting about a brand new fucking Sega Genesis console. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
Very mouse one.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming. Why don't they come out with a Sega Nomad with a reset button on it so I can complete X-Men on it? Shit. Nomad was the shit. Except for the battery life. And no reset button on it. But think about that, okay? South America, come on. Credits.
Blast processing, bitches. Blast processing.